Donnie and Dolly. The team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.
Okay. All of our guests today, including Ian Furness, standing by, sponsored by Passant Motors. Get a gift with every financed vehicle this holiday season, like 6 months of gas. No, 6 months of gas.
Oh.
No payments until the summer, or a gift card up to $1,000. Get all of the info at basantmotors.com. Unsigned into the Delaney's OK Tire in Langley inbox. A couple of people wondering if we shouldn't have separated on our poll question current management and previous management. The old management is who to blame for the Canucks not being able to make this happen.
Good point.
This being
Good point.
That's extension.
Ryan's shaking his head.
I think when we say management, it encompasses everybody.
Yeah. Well,
okay. You blame Ryan on that one. Joining us now from KJR Sports Radio in Seattle, it's Ian Furness. Seahawks lose 30-24 at home versus Carolina. Kraken beat the Panthers 5-2. They're in 10th place overall, the Kraken. Second in the Pacific.
Really good team.
Ian joining us now. How are you, sir?
Good, gentlemen. I like the policy, blame Ryan. When all else fails, blame Ryan. I mean, why not, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Good policy.
At all times. Next on the list is our director, Derek, and then it works its way down to me. Yeah, as always. I learned from you, I think.
That's I would place blame on Rick, and Donnie. At that point, it's just too late to blame it on you. So you're good. You're good.
Hey, how do you explain the Seahawks' recent struggles?
Well, when you can't run the football and you can't stop the other team from running the football, you're probably not going to be a very good football team. And I mean, it's really, guys, it's that simple. I mean, it's really that simple. They can't run. The other teams are having massive success running the football. The last 5 games, teams are averaging about 194 yards a game on the ground against them. The last 4 games, it's over 200 a game. They have a complete and utter inability to stop anybody from running the football, which is the most basic thing in all of football, is to run it, and they can't stop anybody. They don't seem to have any answers, and then when they themselves can't run it, to take some pressure off of the quarterback, that puts way too much pressure on the passing game. And, maybe they were a mirage. Maybe they were a tease. Maybe they're not as good as maybe their record at one point had indicated. And, boy, they'll get a test on Thursday with San Francisco coming to town, that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Who do you blame for that situation, the ground game and the inability to stop the ground game? We're blaming everybody today.
I say management. It's all on management, right? It's on management. They just don't have the guys. I think. Here's the good thing, for Seahawks fans, is that they're in a great situation because they may or may not make the playoffs, and if they do, it'll be as a low seed, and they're probably, they might be one and done. I mean, it's still fun to get into the postseason. That's still the goal. I know I hear people all the time say, well, what is it? No, you want to get in. You never know what can happen. But if they don't, it doesn't matter. They have, probably at worst a top 3 pick from Denver. They'll have their own first round pick, and then they'll have the second, third, or fourth pick in the second round from Denver and their own second round. I mean, they're going to be able to really flip the roster in terms of the defensive side of the football. I think that's the route they're going to go. There are some studs in the draft that can probably change that front. And it's really the front 7 guys is the problem. It's the front, they don't have anybody. The edge guys can't contain anybody, but they can go out and get a Jalen Carter, a Will Anderson, there's dudes out there, are just flat out dudes out there in the draft. They will have their pick of one of those guys. That will help immediately. And, I just kind of, the quarterback's a different situation, but I think Gino's back for another year as a starter. And so they're in a pretty good situation one way or the other.
Where's his game at? Where's Gino's game at right now?
It's interesting, Donnie. That's a debate down here today. I find it's an interesting one at that because, some of the analytical numbers will tell you that he's dropped off significantly. But when you watch him with the eye test, it's probably easier to say, he's pressing a little bit because they can't run the football and the defense is giving up so much and you're almost having to play from behind. And I think there's this pressure that I think he'd never say this guy. Like he's a phenomenal teammate. Guys love him. But I think deep down, he's got to be thinking, look, man, I got to score in almost every drive because our defense can't get off the field. And that's a hard thing and pressure to put on a guy and a quarterback. He'll make some incredible – every game there's 2 or 3 wow throws. And then there's a couple – recently you go, what the heck happened? Now the first one the first interception he threw yesterday, bad decision. Pete Carroll talked about it afterwards. Should have checked down. Just a bad decision. And not even a bad throw, just a bad decision. The second one, there were not 1, 2, but 3 Panthers in the neutral zone. He thought he had a free play. The entire world thought he had a free play. And he just kind of tossed it up for grabs, and the flag never flew. And it was, that's on the officials. That's just one of those, just a blatant miss by the officials who had really actually a bad day here. They had a bad day in LA with the Chargers Sunday night game with the Dolphins. It was
roughing the passer.
Yeah, we've had a rough year, but I think Gino's just pressing a little bit, Donnie, to be honest with you.
Ian, let's talk about the winning team in Seattle, the Kraken.
Yeah.
How cool was it for Shane Wright to score his first NHL goal against the Habs?
Oh, well, he downplayed it, of course, and everything else. And look, he gave him a look, at the draft. They bypassed him. I think for him, it's interesting. I thought in that game, especially, he played 11 and a half minutes in that game. And he would have played more, but there was about 16 minutes of power play time, special teams time. That kind of took him away a little bit. And he was playing he played on a line with Yanni Gord and Oliver Bjorkstrand. And man, he did not look out of place, guys. Goal aside, he had 3 other just grade A chances. I like him. But I think we've been talking about this all year. I've been bullish on him all year. I think I think he fits in. It's hard because of the top 3 centers. They had a couple injuries, so they were able to slot him in there, and I think they wanted to get that game in before they made it official and sent him to World Junior Camp. I can't even fathom what he's going to do with Connor Bedard on a line. My goodness.
Stop it. Stop
it. Can you imagine what that's going to be? I don't know. You guys are the World Junior experts, but when was the last time they had a line? I don't even know who the third guy is on that line. Who the third guy is going to be? But when was the last time they had a line with that type of talent? Those two types.
I thought you were saying that he was going to the Kraken. The Bedard.
Oh no. We're a playoff. We're a playoff.
The
team
Stanley Cup.
Donnie.
Yeah.
We're a playoff team. We're not thinking. Listen, you guys can do your tankathon lottery thing and all that fun stuff. We're not doing that. By the way, I did take that when you guys were doing that all the time. Is it you guys or maybe the other dudes across the street? The little tankathon.
Yes.
I had fun with that last year. Yeah, I had fun with that. Yeah, I had fun with that last year, but I haven't even gone to that website yet. We're a playoff team down here.
Canada, the U.S. World Juniors, keep an eye on both. They're going to be great. When I look at all the great stats for the Kraken, the one that sticks out for me, and for a second-year franchise, this is incredible. 9-2-1 on the road. That's pretty damn good.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense either. Rick,
yeah,
to be honest with you, because they're better on the road than they are at home, and their home ice. The crowd's fantastic. They do a good job in the building, and great place to play. But who knows how you explain some of those things sometimes in hockey, right? The only thing they've got to do, they've got to figure out a way to get the penalty kill better, and it's odd because it's kind of a head coach and a coaching staff that's kind of a defensive first mindset, right? And yet, despite that. That's the only little blemish, and if they clean that up, which I think they will, I would think with Hackstone they got good penalty killers. They'll be something else. I keep I think a lot of people are waiting for the balloon to burst, but I think we're far enough in. What's the stat? Thanksgiving, right? If you kind of that American Thanksgiving, you kind of tell where teams are, and I think because they can score. I think we talked about this in the past. Because they can score, they're in every game. Right, like they have no problem putting the puck in the net. So even if they have the day where they give up a few or a handful, they're still okay. And Grubauer looks like he's really rounding back into form. Martin Jones has played well for the most part this season, so they got a nice little 1-2 punch there. I think they're a good hockey team, and I'm excited to see what happens when Shane Wright comes back from World Juniors. That gives them more depth. Now they're going to be short for a while. They're down D. Alexiak's got 2 games left on his suspension. Yeah. I thought that was weak. He didn't raise his elbow, his shoulder. The guy, he's 6'6", whatever, it happens, right? But and then Schultz got banged up last night, so they're a little thin on the back end right now. But we'll see what they do. They got Tampa next. That'll be a little bit of a test.
We're out of time right now, but I somewhere along the line, for people who don't know, you're not a fan of name, image, likeness, the new NCAA rules. I'd love to get into that. College players getting some money, and one day we'll get into that.
Give me 2 seconds.
Okay, sure.
I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. I don't like how it's being executed with the portal and everything else. But it'd be a fun conversation for sure. Absolutely.
Okay.
And I think it should start to affect the CHL and the NCAA in that relationship. And that needs to change as well, because now these kids are getting paid, which was the whole big thing, right? With guys not being able to go back and forth. So.
Yeah. No, it's a great conversation. So we'll get into it at another time. Are you with us next week, by the way? Yeah, he is. Okay.
Well, I hope so. I think so. All right. Yeah.
We'll evaluate this interview, and then we'll go from there. But I was going to say Merry Christmas. We'll say that. Merry Christmas anyway, and we'll say Merry Christmas next week too.
Check with management. Let me know what they say.
Ian, we spent so much on the Christmas stuff. We might have to cut you off next week.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm getting paid.
Oh.
Well, you know what? We have to do something about your name, image, and likeness, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll take Tim Bits and a white spot hit or something.
A box of shreddies. Box of shreddies.
Box of shreddies. Absolutely.
There you go.
So I'm in.
Okay.
See you, boys.
Thanks, Ian. Appreciate it. Ian Furness, KJR Sports Radio in Seattle.